Hello and welcome to this 5-part video training on the accelerated results formula for healers, speakers, and transformation specialists. I'm Paul Cousineau, your transformational leader from Sound of Prana, and I'm inviting you to take a pen and paper, jot down some notes because we're going to be covering a lot of content during this 5-part training series. This is all about how you can create a business that will offer more value to your community as well as to yourself. Now the 5 parts that we're going to be covering is part 1, which is this video, all about your dream vision and mission. Part 2 is how to create an attractive package. Part 3 is about communicating your message. Part 4 is going to be client attraction and delivery. And then part 5 is going to be how to build your community. So let's get started because we have a lot of ground to cover in this first video. So what is your dream vision and your mission? And why would you care about that? Well, one is it's going to be influencing your major decisions as well as your business model. This is something that is the foundation of everything that you're going to be doing. So it might seem like, it takes a bit of time, it's hard to measure the results, but you're going to be glad that you do it. And you're going to see how that relates and guides in your decisions for each of the 4 upcoming modules of this training series. Now, what are some of the aspects that you have to keep in mind when you're working on your vision as well as your mission? Well, it defines what you're going to be doing, who you do it, why, and then what are you doing? And it also comes from your core values, what you believe in. And then the last piece to remember is this is something that will evolve over time. So I recommend that you revisit it at least once a year to see if it's still appropriate. Because as you progress, so will your ideals, so will your goals, so will everything that you dream of creating in the world. But really, you're going to be looking at your mission and your vision much more regularly. But at least put it in your schedule to ask yourself once a year, is this still appropriate? Does this still reflect what you want to be creating in the world as a transformation? So now we're going to be starting with the vision, which is where everything starts. This will define your ideal view of the world. A world without any limitations. If you were the one that had the paint and brush and you were able to create this dream life, this dream community, what would it look like? What would your dream life be? So I'm inviting you to do a brainstorming exercise. So there's a few ways that you can do that. And you might put the video on pause, or you can just take a few notes and then do it after you've looked at the video. So one of them is to just write a bunch of ideas and thinking, if you had a say in how the world was being run, what would it look like? What changes would you make? What difference would you create? What impact do you want to have in the world? Now write down all of those ideas and don't impose any limits on yourself. This is a brainstorming exercise and it comes a lot more from the creative side than the logical side. Then the other way that you can do it is using art. So you could actually draw out, paint literally, the world that you would want to live in. Try to capture feelings. Try to have different symbols, representations of what that world would look like. How are the people living in it? And then another way that you can do is by engaging people in your circles. That can be friends, colleagues, family, in conversations, and just exchange ideas. You say, well, if anything was possible, what would the world look like? And then once you engage in those discussions, write a few notes that you remember what you actually shared, unless you use a recording device, but that could actually be a little bit weird and it could have a negative impact on the brainstorming. Even now, as I'm being filmed on this, I'm trying to be as natural as possible, but I have to admit I'm a little bit tense, which is why I'm going to be taking a deep breath here. And I encourage you to take a breath whenever you get kind of nervous or in a situation that's slightly uncomfortable, and it'll just help get you resetted. So now another piece that you want to be doing when you're creating your vision is you have to remember this is something that is aspirational. This is going to be your fuel, your motivation, the energy, the drive that you have. And when you get a hard day, when you find that there's an obstacle and you're not sure how you're going to overcome it, you need to go back to your vision, and this should give you that fuel, that energy to overcome that obstacle. So it can be something like really lame or basic, and normally you want to have like a feeling, an emotion deep inside of you, that passion, that fire. So then the other piece is, I recommend that it's connected to some of your significant life events or experiences. Because there's a few events in your life that dramatically influence the course, the direction that you're taking. And if you're a healer, a speaker, or a transformation specialist, I'm willing to bet that you have at least one of those events that determine why you're in this field of service, why you're helping people in the particular way that you're doing it today. So go back to that event and then think and remember, how did this influence the course of your life? This will normally be tied to the ideal world that you want to live in. And this will also be tied to your aspirations, because if it changed the course of your life and it made you take a right turn, then it's probably tied to something that you deeply want, and that creates a feeling inside of you. Now there's a few other things that you want to know. It's tied to long-term results. So you don't limit it to what you want to have happen tomorrow. Think big. Really, really big. And then there's a few ways that you can formulate that vision statement, right? Because you're saying, okay, I've got all this, so now you need to actually go and write something. I recommend writing down a bunch of different visions and then picking the one that resonates the most with you, and then just keep working it, keep working it, keep working it. Maybe you want to revisit it in a day or two, take a look at it in a week. This is a process that will be evolving. So there's a few ways that you can write it. It can be a very short statement, or some people like to have it really long, like a bunch of different paragraphs. I personally feel that you should make it concise, because this is something that, again, you want to be remembering. It wants to create a feeling. And when I read a 2-page document, there's not many feelings that come out except for boredom. And that's not what you want for your vision, okay? Then you have to think, do you want this to be something that is qualitative? Like being the best, creating a magnificent something, or you want to be having those adjectives in it, or is it something that is more quantitative? And this again ties to your personality. Quantitative results might mean empowering 1 million people to create the life of their dreams, having 1 million kids finding an adoptive family, saving 2 billion acres of land from deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. Then you can consider using a competitive vision. So that one could be like being the #1 motivational speaker in the world. Now I feel like this one can be inspiring for some people, but for me I find it's too vague and impersonal. And it's also in contrast to other people. Because if you're #1, it's as opposed to the other motivational speaker. And I tend to be much more collaborative, so I don't tend to use that, but it might work for you. Now another one is to use a role model. So it could be being the Jacques Cousteau of the transformational industry. So then in here, you're really using, well, what does Jacques Cousteau stand for, right? Uncharted territories, new discoveries, pushing boundaries, courage, So then, as long as you understand who that role model is and what he stands for and what creates in you, and ideally who your community sees that role model as, then that can work for you, and that can be a much easier way to do it, right? So I'm going to give you a practical example, and remember that you're going to be working on this probably over several days to get it really nice and tailored to your specific vision. So mine is live your dreams. And you can see how I went for the very concise. So it used to be a few more sentences, but I found that this one captures everything that I stand for in the ideal world. Because if there were no limits in the ideal world, everyone would be living their dreams, literally. And this came from a very significant event in my life, when I faced the dark night of the soul and I ended up working with shamans in the Amazon rainforest. And I was also working with some of their plant medicines. And one of the things that happened to me is I started having lucid dreams several times a week. And even some nights I would remember over 30 dreams. And this is all in my personal journals. But what I realize now is that those dreams were actually what I was hoping to create in my life. Either the feelings, the symbols, or very literal experiences of how my life would unfold. And a few years later, this is actually happening and I am living my dream. So I discovered the potential of dreaming the life that we want. And I believe that every single person has at least one dream. And that to be fulfilled and to accomplish part of your purpose while you came here, you have to follow and live that dream. So that's how it became Live Your Dream. Now let's take another deep breath before we go into the mission. Go ahead and take it with me. You'll see it's really relaxing and also help separate the two concepts in your mind. It creates like a doorway, let's say. Awesome. This is also helping me deal with the camera. I have to be totally honest. I've been doing some videos for a while now, and I'm still kind of working at getting comfortable and very natural in front of the screen for you. So the mission, right? Well, what is that? That's much more tactical. It's more precise, and I like to say it's the role that you will have in creating your vision. So what is the particular change that you're going to be creating? How will you be creating that change? What are the tools that you're going to be using? Who are you going to work with? Who are you going to partner with? So when you take a look at your business, this comes down to identifying your specific niche, and it also guide how you package your products and your services. Now, it'll influence everything else in the other modules. So don't underestimate the importance of your mission. And again, this is something that will evolve over time. Now, it's important that you include yourself in the mission because it's something that you do. And I also encourage you to include your community because it's a change that you're actually creating. And change normally involves more than one person, especially if you want to make it something that will be fulfilling. Then you want to include the people that you love and care about. But really, the number one mistake that people do is that they do not include themselves, and it becomes very impersonal. And it's not something that they can relate to. So now I'm going to give you an example with mine, and then we'll break it down so that you can understand how to create your mission statement. So my mission is to empower myself and other healers, speakers, and transformation experts to live our ambitions and our passions, to be leaders in our communities, and to live the life of our dreams. Now really I use the word live in the first piece. Sometimes when I say it, I use the word fulfill. And I feel like that fulfillment connects to that higher purpose that we all have in the world. But I use them interchangeably as I explain my mission statement to myself. Because again, it's a message that it's like explaining my role in the world. And I find when I use the word live, it's very grounding. So that's why I have that in here. Now, if you take at the end of it, right, live the life of our dreams. This is where there's a hook that connects with my vision. This is important. So you want to talk about your vision somewhere in your mission. Okay? So you want to have that hook in there. Now, another piece that you have is my mission, right? So I'm including myself. This is something that I do, something that I believe in. So you're going to want to include yourself in it. And then I also include is to empower. So this is what I'm doing. The empowerment process guides how I'm packaging all of my services and my products, as well as how I'm creating content for you. Like right now, I'm empowering you to be able to apply to be able to create a mission and a vision that will get you to your goals, that will give you the ability to create more value in the world, to live a fulfilling life. Now, there's a very specific component of empowerment that I have to share with you. And this is about teaching someone to fish and not giving them the fish. So all of my programs have this component where it's an experience that you have. You have to take action, and then there's this opportunity for us to exchange. And it's in this exchange and communication process that most of your growth will be happening. So it's not necessarily like a done for you. And in these videos, I'm actually inviting you to reach out and to share your ideas. In this module, you can share what is your mission and your vision, and then let's take a look at it together. And it's this collaborative process that creates the empowerment. Now, there's another component in this mission statement, which is healers, speakers, and transformation specialists. So this is, who do I work with? Of course, I want everyone to live their dreams, but now I'm making it much more tactical. And I'm saying, well, I'm going to be working with healers, speakers, and transformation specialists. I'm going to empower them so then they can help other people live their dreams. But the first line of people that I'm helping is you guys. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm not going to be working with people that don't fit this who, right? That don't fit this description. But those are the ideal people that I'm communicating to and that I'm gearing my products and services, my message, the community that I'm building towards. So again, when you create it, you have to think, who are the people that you're going to be serving? Who do you love to work with? But don't necessarily say, oh, well, because you picked that specific niche, you're not going to be serving these other people that come to you. No, if it's the right fit, of course serve them. It's very important to do that. But first check in and see if it's the right fit and if you're going to be enjoying working with those people. And then there's the component of living our ambitions and our passions. Because what I believe in is about that courage, living your higher purpose. And this is tied to your ambitions on a personal, professional, and spiritual level. But I don't need to say all of those because I know for me that ambitions is tied to your highest potential in all areas of your person and your life. That's very clear for me in the word that I use. So when you're picking a word, think about what that word means for you, right? And then you don't need to expand on it if that's very clear. Now, if it wasn't clear, then I would actually start talking about the personal aspect, the spiritual aspect, and the professional aspects. But I don't need to because I understand that word. And then passions is going back to that flame, that fire, that drive, right? That drive for me because that's the life that I want to live. I want to live a life that allows me to fulfill my passions. And this connects back. There's another hook to that vision, which is the component of the dreams, which the dreams is the fuel that keeps us alive. So you can see now how I have all these different components, and this is going to be guiding how I do the packaging of my services, how I communicate my message, how I attract my clients, how do I deliver the transformation, as well as how I build my community. So you want to be thinking of all those components inside of your, when you're crafting your mission. So that was a lot of content, and that's why I was inviting you to take a pen and paper. And really, we're going to be going in more details of how do you actually use this to create a business model that creates more value for your community and yourself in the second video of this 5-part training series. So in the next one, we're going to be talking about how to make your attractive package for your products and services, of course. And this is all part of the accelerated results formula that I've created, which is really taking the best of the accelerated results bootcamp that we offer at Son of Prana. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and make sure to reach out if you have any questions, and more importantly, to share what you've come up with, your vision and your mission.